The Michael Berry Show.
A listener sent me a link knowing that I like peacocks to the Struting Peacock
Okay.
Ranch. And I went
Yes,
there and
sir.
it said as follows. Well, it began with Phyllis, the mom of our family. She's always had an awesome love for peacocks. My mother loves peacocks, by the way, but never imagined that she might one day own any. We'd always been city slickers, living in Kingwood, Texas, a suburb of Houston. Somehow, some way, the entire family, Phyllis, the mom, Michael, the dad, Kyle, the son, and Kim, the daughter, that's her, Ramon, decided that it would make for a better life if all of us moved to the country. My goodness, have we ever been more right about something? We ended up in Waller, which is only about an hour northwest of Houston, but so very different. Life is amazing. Everything moves at a slower pace, and everyone is so nice to each other. Then one day, Phyllis came upon a listing of a pair of India blue peafowl that someone nearby needed to rehome. That was all it took. That was the beginning of it all. Less than a year later, we had a flock of 50 peafowl, 19 different colors and patterns, and we're loving life. It really is true that each one has its own unique personality and quirks. It's so amazing. We love our peafowl like they're our own children. So in order to obtain some, you do have to talk with us a bit first. So you sell these peacocks and peahens?
We do, yes. We have, I believe it's 27 different varieties, and they are unlike the stereotype that people think about them, just being loud and obnoxious. They have unique personalities. They're very emotional. They don't like to be alone. They're really fascinating.
And how much does one run?
So India blue, the typical one that people think of when they think of peacocks, is the cheapest, and that's really what most people want. It depends on if you're talking about chicks, yearlings, adults that are of breeding age, which is around 2 years. But an India blue chick we usually would sell for 50. The adults, the male about 200. The peahens, which is what most people want, is around 400. But then we have a pair that is more unique called Steel, and they've only recently been developed within the last 5 years. And those, when we bought them as chicks, we paid $2,500 for them as chicks. So it's quite a bit of a range there, depending on
Tell
the
me,
more
tell me about
unique,
those
hard
chicks.
to get.
Tell me about those hard to get. How do they look different?
So the Steel that I was talking about, they have the same kind of look as the India blue, but it, instead of a turquoise, it's more like a dark teal, and then their train is black with dark teal eyes. That's what the circles on their train, they're called eyes, and they're really beautiful. But there's the India blue, there's the white, cameo, indigo. There's different types. There's 3 different types of peafowl in the world, and it's the blues, the Java greens, and then the Congo, which have to stay there in the Congo, so people don't really know about them. But the blues and the greens have way different personalities. Also, the greens are mean. They are taller in stature. They strut like they know how beautiful they are. They need a lot more room. They don't do as well in hotter temperatures, so we really don't like to have them here in Texas because of the temperature. But a lot of times people will call us and say, I got a peacock loose in my yard, will you come get it? That happens all the time, actually. So we end up going and catching them and bringing them so that they'll have a mate and be much happier. What type do you have?
I don't own any peacocks. There are
Oh, okay.
2 peacocks who've taken up residence in my backyard. but I maintain to the neighborhood
Okay.
that I do not own any peacocks. They are feral peacocks who landed in my backyard
Okay.
and for some reason don't leave. Now, there's Pete and Calvin. We did name them, but they are feral. We don't own them. And Calvin is
Okay.
away whoring around, if I'm being completely honest. And Pete is showing he's presenting every day. Hold on one second. Kim, what do you feed your peacocks?
Their feed when it's not breeding season, we feed the Purina flock raiser crumbles.
Mm-hmm.
And when it is breeding season, they need more calcium for the eggs. So there's a Purina Layena, which helps make the eggshell stronger and gives them more vitamins. And then we give them treats all the time. I can tell you, if you ever want to make your peafowl really happy, especially during the summer when it's hot, they go crazy for watermelon. So I'll go and find the guy on the side of the road selling watermelons and load the truck up with like 20 of them, cut them into quarters and give all of them some, and they go crazy for it. They like berries, peanuts. You know, my mom has several that will eat out of her hand when she has peanuts. They love it. So it's the basic diet is the chicken feed, and then they get treats all the time. When you have chicks, they love to peck on things, and so to keep them from pecking on each other, we will give them cabbage, and they love that. Plus, it's something to peck into.
Mm-hmm. How many peacocks do you think you sell in a year?
Oh, you're talking the chicks, yearlings, and adults?
Yeah,
total?
all in.
Probably 100, 150, something like that.
So you couldn't survive off the sale of peacocks because you're spending that on food.
No. Well, it depends. There are the big breeders that are the ones that do the genetics where they create new colors and things, and they travel across the country going to like swap meets and things, and they do. But as for us, we've all retired, and my husband was a Houston firefighter. He retired for us to move out to the country, and my dad is actually still working. He's a controller for an air conditioning company, so he still has that income, but the rest of us are retired and just do this, mostly for the fun of it. We're not the big breeders where we just try to get them, throwing out chicks all the time and selling them. We literally interview people before we allow them to take our birds.
Nothing wrong with that. It's your passion. Do you have other livestock?
No, just our dogs, barn cat, and our peafowl. That's it.
Your dogs don't bother the peacocks?
Not at all, no. And the cat has kind of become their best friend. He just roams around with them, and they will display for him like you were talking about. From the names that you gave, I assume it's two peacocks that are the neighborhood roamers.
I find peacocks to be beautiful, peahens to be rather ugly.
They're not ugly.
Well, nobody.
And they're so sweet.
When people think of peafowl, they're thinking of peacocks. Because as you know, as with some other communities, it is the male who attracts the female. And so, just as with cardinals and blue jays, and I'm telling Noah about the ark, but you know more than I do. What have you enjoyed about having peacocks that people might not know?
Like I said, most people think of them as loud, obnoxious, constantly, making the loud noises that would annoy you, but that's not true at all. Really, the only time that they will get loud is if there's some type of predator, which that's a big thing, trying to keep raccoons out of the cages. Oh my gosh, they're ruthless. But they're really quiet all the time, unless, when we're feeding them, we start at one end and moved to the other end slowly, and when the ones on the other end know that we're starting to feed the ones on the opposite end, they kind of, try to get us to kick it up, and they'll start making noise. But they're very quiet. They're very sweet. The most surprising thing to us when we first started having them was how emotional they are. They don't like to be without a mate. And you see such a vast difference in peafowl when, rather it's a peahen by itself or a peacock by itself, when you put them with a mate, they are a totally different bird. They are happy. They will strut around more, and just they're totally different. They're so emotional, and we've had some get killed by predators. And when I have one specific situation that is just burned into my mind that I'll never forget. The first peahen that we had pass away. When I tried to go into their pen, they were Samson and Delilah, he would not let me near her. He was displaying his train, and he has like an 11-foot train. And he would display up and then lay his train spread out on top of her. Like he knew she had passed. I knew that he could tell that, but he didn't want me to take her. And it was so sad. And people will try to just buy the males from us because they're the more beautiful bird, and we don't do that either. We make sure they're going to have a mate because they're just not happy without one. It's a huge thing that people don't understand. And when we sell them, we literally do interview them about where they're going to keep them, what they're going to feed them, if there are predators around. And we had a guy drive like 3 hours one time to buy some, and then he lets on that he's going to clip their wings and let them roam free out on 1 acre. He wanted 20 of them. And we're like, sorry, no, can't do it. You're talking fish in a barrel, and 1 acre for 20, it's not going to work at all. And he got so mad he didn't want to leave. My mom's like, he's not getting my birds, Kim. He's not getting my birds.
How much land y'all have out there, Kim?
We have 6.5 acres.
Their ranch is called Struting Peacock Ranch. Is it just you and your husband, or are you on the same property with your parents?
So when it started, it was just me, my parents, and my brother. And I promised my mom that I was not interested in getting married. I was 38 years old at the time. And I finally had her convinced. We sold both of our homes, moved out there. And then within a year, I meet my husband. So he and I and his sons moved right down the street, but we're trying to get to where we can be on the same property there. My brother, he is mentally handicapped, and that's another thing about peafowl. We had someone who came to get some chicks from us, and she said that the reason she was doing it was because she had heard about a study that Baylor College of Medicine had done as far as the best animals for people with mental handicaps, adults. And peafowl ended up being in the top 5. And it actually turned out to be really good. My brother has learned to help us feed and water them, and he knows every single one of their names and talks to them, sings to them. So that's been another really good thing too for us.
I would think anything that helps him would be positive. I mean, and that being one of those
Yeah.
things. What is your day like? What is a day at Struting Peacock Ranch for Kim Bailey?
Oh, there's always something to do. Wake up and go pick up any tree limbs that are fallen. We're constantly having to mow or weed eat. We have to clean out the enclosures, and my dad is real picky on making sure the water bowls are very clean all the time. He hates it when they get dirty. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it is so rewarding, and I never get tired of it. You know, I worked 15 years on the administrative side of a law firm in Houston. That's what I was doing when I decided to retire, and I'll take this any day.
Which law firm?
It's just amazing. Baker Botts.
Oh, you're kidding. What year did you leave?
No, I was in, I believe it was 2012.
Oh, you just missed
2012 or 2013.
nephew. So my niece, I call him my nephew, my niece married a young man named Harrison Reback, and he just made partner.
Okay.
Like just made partner.
When I was there, I was actually right next to James Baker's office.
Oh, yes.
Secretary James Baker. Amazing man. So amazing and so kind. I really loved him.
You started there in the late 90s?
Yeah, 90, I can't remember.
Somewhere around there. Well, the reason I ask is
yeah.
My friend Scott Roselle was managing partner about that time. He might have just left for Centerpoint, but I think he was still managing partner.
Okay. Yeah, I'd worked in benefits and payroll, and so everyone's name I constantly saw.
Right.
But I don't really remember a lot of them now.
Why do people come and buy a peacock from you? Did they see a picture of it? They heard? What's the number one reason they come out?
So I would say it's pretty much half and half as far as people starting out new and just kind of like we were, where they've always wanted one. And a lot of times it's Mother's Day that people want them the most, getting them for their mom. And then the other half is people that already have them and want different colors or want to just have more, want to introduce new colors into their breeding. It's pretty half and half, but most people are just fascinated with them. And as you can probably tell, I could just talk about them for hours and not realize how long I've been talking. In fact, I often have to be told by my mom, okay, I think that they can just call if they have any more questions. But I'm more the taking care of them side, and I learned from an older gentleman out in Hardin, Texas, who knew pretty much everything there was to know about peafowl, and he taught me how to care for them, what to look for them when they're starting to get ill, what those symptoms will turn into, and how to treat them. So I'm kind of like the take care of them side. And then my mom, she's a realtor, but she's also like the office side of it, but she's still out there feeding with us every day. But the second they start talking, what we have available, meaning which ones my mom is willing to part with, and the money side, that's more my mom. But I can tell you that just about a month ago is the last time this happened, where we decide to sell a pair that we have come to know as our pets. And my mom literally took off running, chasing the truck.
You get attached. They are truly beautiful creatures. Kim Bailey, Struting Peacock Ranch.com.
Southern Fried. The Michael Berry Show.